and welcome. Today I want to speak about a promise of God that we find in the book of Proverbs. And I will read in Proverbs chapter 28, verse 27. He that gives unto the poor will not lack. Now, I find this a very challenging promise because God is really asking us, do you believe that if you give to those who are in need, that I will take care of you and I will give you everything that you need? You see, God is testing our faith, and these are promises that God is placing before us to see where our faith is. And I want to give you today two examples from church history of people who have experienced the faithfulness of God in connection with this verse. The first one is Bhakt Singh from India. In the year 1936, Bhakt Singh, he was an evangelist who was mightily used by the Lord. He received a visitor at his home, and the visitor told him that he didn't have enough money to pay his rent. And that was about 12 rupees. Now Bhakt Singh told him, okay, please sit down, I will pray for you. And while he was praying, the Lord told him, give him the money for the rent. Now Bhakt Singh was a little bit struggling in his heart because in 2 days he had to go to a Bible conference and he didn't have more money than 12 rupees, so he had to really buy a train ticket. And he told the Lord, Lord, I'm not able to do that. I need to buy a train ticket. And the Lord told him, no, you go and you pay the rent for this man. I will take care of you. So Bhakt Singh obeyed and he gave him the 12 rupees and the man went home very happy. Now, after that, Bhakt Singh was wondering, what shall I do? Shall I go to my sister and ask her for money for a train ticket? Well, the Lord didn't allow him to do that. And next he was thinking, shall I cancel the conference because I'm not able to come? I don't have money to buy a train ticket. But also the Lord encouraged him simply to trust him and to see how he would provide for his need. So after 2 days, Bhakt Singh had to go to the railway station. There was a queue in front of the counter. And he stood there in the queue, and while he was standing there, a man approached him and came to him and said, are you Bhakt Singh? He says, yes. And then he gave him an envelope. And in that envelope, there were 12 rupees. Bhakt Singh, he just opened the envelope. He wanted to say thank you, but the man had already disappeared. He had never seen him before. That happened in the year 1936 in India. Now I think about 10 years later or so, something similar has happened in Germany. There was an evangelist who was called Albert Winterhoff, and he went to the south of Germany where he had some gospel meetings. At the end of the gospel meetings, he received 50 Reichsmark at that time, and he went to the railway station to get home again. And there at the railway station, he saw a very poor woman. She was begging for money and she didn't even have enough clothes. So he went to her, he shared the gospel with her, and he told her that the Lord Jesus takes care of our souls and of our bodies. And then he gave her all the money that he had, and he even gave her his cloak. And then he said to the Lord, Lord, now it's your turn. I have given to the poor. Now please provide that I can get home with the train. And so he went to the counter, and there in front of the counter, again, there was a queue, and he stood in the queue, and this queue became shorter and shorter. And in the last moment, there was a man coming at him and says, hey, you are Albert Winterhoff. I know you from the lectures that you have given. And at that time, he reached the counter, and the man looked at the man at the counter and says, hey, please give him a ticket for his home journey. And the man paid for that ticket. Now, Albert, of course, he was overwhelmed by the grace of God, and he gave thanks and experienced how the Lord faithfully kept his promise. Of course, these are very special examples, but they are challenging our faith. Are we willing to give to the needs of those who are around us? Do we have open eyes for the needs that are there? You see, only if we are going forward by faith, we are going to experience the faithfulness of God in connection with his wonderful promises. May the Lord encourage you to trust him more.